Hi everyone, I'm Jean-Michel and thank you for joining us. Today we are going to be diving into network states with digital nomad specialist CoCoHub. Daniel and Loïc, how are you doing, guys? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us. So my name is Daniel. I'm the founder of CoCoHub. We are a community of digital nomads, and we started here in Malta 4 or 5 years ago. And now we are venturing into becoming a digital state, or also called a network state. So that's why we are here.
And I'm Loïc. I'm like a community leader as well for CoCoHub, and I have also my own agency, marketing agency, and like I'm working with Daniel since few years, and yeah, like working on the network state as well, and how to bring more people into this idea.
Okay, so when you say network state, can you define that a little deeper?
Okay, we try to make it as short as possible. I think we are now at a stage of humanity where it would be smart to look again why we are here and how we could organize our life here on Earth a little bit better, because we see that centralized governance structures are failing for different reasons. Maybe the society becomes too complex, we have artificial intelligence, so on and so forth. So if you just look at the state of the world from a German developer, software developer's perspective, you come to the conclusion you need a new system, and this is called decentralization. And of course, we started our own currencies in 2011. You can start your own DAOs on blockchain and organize your tribe and community, and now we have the technology to actually start something far bigger. And I honestly think this is the end game, or like the big hype and the big breakthrough crypto will need. So it's basically you enable a community to slowly become more and more mature by offering different social services, maybe an income, like insurances, you offer accommodation, and slowly you basically replace, we call them pillars of control, by digital means. Doing so, you enable people to be more free and give power back to the people.
Yeah, and if I can add something, like because of our background and our experience, like we just found like the best use case for these network states, and like a real world reason why this will be the next thing is that we are working with remote workers and what we call digital nomads since like more than 4 years. And we just realized that these people like nomads and remote workers, even before the pandemic, they were starting to have a different lifestyle, traveling different countries and working remotely, but then they raised issues and different problematics that were important for them to solve, like where I pay my insurance, where I'm educating my kid if I am a nomad family, where I will get retired, where do I pay my tax. And the world enabled this trend of remote work, thanks a bit to the pandemic, but also thanks of these persons traveling and working at the same time. And now, like a lot of questions are raising around this fact that people are moving and they are not staying all the life in a country. And just to finish about the network state, in the global population as well, we see worldwide a change in the mentalities. People feel that there is something wrong, like they don't know or they don't want to vote anymore. They want to protest. There is inflation. There is a lot of things going bad, and they are looking for a solution. They have like something. They feel there is something wrong, but they can't define it yet. And I think this will be like the revolution will be about the network state, when they will figure out that maybe the current countries are just outdated and we need to update them.
There's a few things here I'm struggling to follow. So as far as network states go, are we talking about the digitization of government services? Are we talking about the setting up of a digital country? Are we talking about a digital community? Like what is the because we spoke about a few different problems, but if you had to sort of like fundamentally boil it down into a few words, what would those words be?
I think it's highly psychotic to be forced to subscribe to one idea about why we're here in this world. If I am born in Germany, just because I'm born there means I need to subscribe to their vision. This doesn't make sense because probably I have more shared values with this one guy from Nairobi who is a software developer, and I would rather opt into a society with him pushing one goal. Maybe for us, it's blockchain and freedom. Maybe for others, it is spirituality. You have consciousness communities, they are as big as 100,000 of people. And they have one objective, why they are here, or vegetarians, or whatever. And if you combine this objective of this community and pair it with the cryptocurrency behind, they get power. And this is what we basically need. Like the idea of a country should never ever have existed. It doesn't make sense. And this is the biggest threat to humanity. And that's the negative side of seeing it. They need to be updated because we are just in front of a nuclear disaster. And you can see it from, just imagine the bottom of the people in Russia would have the power to say, click, I don't pay tax for this. I don't agree. Out of a sudden, we could stop wars. But having sanctions from top to bottom is not working. So that's seeing it from a negative perspective. In the end, it's about bringing countries into competition. So we see nomad visas, for example. They are one building block because we still need to get access to physical territories. So if someone is from Nairobi and he has a weak passport, but he needs to live or he wants to live in Europe, then we also will agree on partnerships with existing territorial countries. So it's also bringing competition into the game. Whenever you have no competition, they force you to subscribe to something which is not good for planet Earth or humanity.
Sure. So I subscribe to the idea of individuals being citizens of the world rather than being citizens of an individual state. So I'm with you sort of on a philosophical level. Just creating an individual state, creating a self-sovereign state, because that's essentially what we're talking about here, right? It's creating a self-sovereign state that's not managed or owned by any one centralized entity, right? So an idea of that example would be the Sovereign Knights of St. John, right? It's essentially a country with that doesn't really exist. There's no physical territory. There's just a passport that you subscribe to, and that was, let's say, a construct of the church, right? So how do we grab that idea and transpose it into the 21st century?
Yeah, so I think that's a task for a lifetime. We will never reach this utopia, and also we don't want to create an utopia. So it will always be something between 0 and 1. We need existing countries. We need to have partnerships with them. You will still have companies being registered in physical jurisdictions, that's for sure. But at least we need to start the conversation. So I think that's quite important. And as you said, what we are doing here has never been done before. So we don't have a blueprint. We have books like The Sovereign Individual, where the name Malta appears 43 times. So you just take this idea, as you mentioned, of the Knight of St. John, see how they organize themselves. They exist to push Christianity, so that was the actual idea, and you put this into code. And as you see, they also have home bases. They have different embassies in Greece. The headquarters is here in Malta, and this is also one component of those network state, in the end acquiring real estate or territory. But I see it as a lifetime mission.
If I can add something as well, it's like I'm quoting a bit this video of Nas Daily, where like he was saying that when the cryptocurrencies just appeared, like it took like some years, and like the first country started to to accept it and to take it in consideration, like Salvador, like took Bitcoin as the main currency, but after like 10 or 15 years, so it's not things which are going to happen in like 6 months or 1 year. It's like a lot of things. It's just like, I think, uh, a new step, sorry, in disrupting governments and states in order to improve them. And once, like as a network state, you have like one country in the real world accepting you, then you can start to grow and being recognized as a potential normal country. And just like a second thing, which will help everybody looking at us like, who are these crazy guys speaking about creating new countries? I think everybody played Age of Empires. So basically, if you remember playing at Age of Empire and like creating your own Ministry of Justice, your agriculture ministry, and like creating your own city, basically, we are actually thinking a bit like this, like there is a lot of issues in the real world, like justice needs to be disrupted. And if you have a lot of money, you can pay the best lawyers. And in a decentralized way, this wouldn't happen and justice would be really fair. So we are thinking like, okay, we are in Age of Empires now, but in the real world, and we are trying to build the blocks to have better countries.
Okay, that's an interesting explanation. I've actually spent many years playing Age of Empires, two, three, and most recently four. And I'm struggling to see the connection. But once we're on the gaming side, what I will ask is I mean, essentially, what is the benefit of having a network state when, for example, such communities already exist online? Let's say, for example, like the Fortnite community, right? Like I think now they're probably around 150 million players strong, off their top notch of 320 or 350 million at the time. So like that is an online community, right, with its own sort of set of guidelines and morals and principles, etc. How would the network state compare to that? How do you guys see it?
I think that's a really good question, because what we are seeing is that NFTs are being introduced into gaming. And of course, they develop their own tokens, for example, how we also see it on Reddit, on online forums. They are releasing their own tokens, and there is a specific economic force behind. But of course, in Fortnite, this is just playing. But I honestly think the aspect of gamification, that's the way to go. Because if you would face humanity with the approach I just delivered, putting the facts out there and negativity, people run away. So the winners of this game in the short term, because I honestly think we will see billions going into this industry, because it's $1 trillion industry in the end. What I wanted to say, the winners will be the ones who approach it with humor and gamification. We, for example, just heard about soulbound tokens, which was endorsed by Vitalik Buterin, the guy behind Ethereum. And we will see NFT passports, where you can basically create your online reputation in a positive way by collecting soulbound karma tokens, which can only be mined by being human, or, for example, by achieving certain levels in an online game. So it's quite the same, but you act in the real world instead of the metaverse. So this metaverse idea, which developed such an hype in the last year, it's kind of the same, but we act in the real world.
And we see it with online communities. You were talking about Fortnite, but there is a lot of online communities of gamers which are giving back in real life. Like, I don't remember the name, but I know there is a conference, Z something in France, and it's like gaming, all the gaming industry and like players like playing like for, I don't know, 1 week or 48 hours and giving all the money generated to caritative association or something. So I think that definitely these online communities are willing to give back in the real world.
The idea of the digital world and the physical world sort of melding in that way isn't something I doubt. It's more the creation of, or rather what the true benefits of a network state are. Like, here's how I see it, right? So if you have a government with digital services, and those digital services are linked to digital services of other governments around the world, does that in essence solve most of the things which the network state concept is trying to
I
solve, or
like
not?
like I think something that we didn't speak enough about is the governance, which is, yes, you can have like you can have a country, you can have a government which is having digital services, which is providing with a lot of tools, but this is still like a governance issue. If you have a country which is in a democracy, maybe it could be okay. If you are in a country like China, where they have a reputation management system, a credit score for citizens, which is kind of the same, like it's like a network state. Okay, everything is connected. If you cross the path while it's red, you lose 10 points. If you do something good, you win points. But then, like, the governance and how it's used depends on the country system and the governance system. And if it's like I don't know, monarchy or the democracy, it can be a problem. So yes, there is digital services. There is countries who are evolving into digital services, but who are the ones controlling this? And do we want as citizens having the control over this? Democracy, is it still a model which is worth it? So that's a lot of questions, and network state is trying to answer these questions.
To give you a practical example, in the end, it is just giving power back to the people. So in the moment, we are still at the kindergarten stage. We have 11,000 community members, but those 11,000 people we can kind of steer into a direction by sending them, for example, to Malta or Bali. And this, in the end, is an impact on the GDP. So if you take 11,000 people and in average they spend 40K in a year in a economy, that's already 40 million. And soon we will be millions and billions of people. I think we will peak at 1 billion, and we, in 10 years from now, we will have a seat at United Nations, and maybe in 40 years from now, we will be the strongest economic force, decentralized, without Loïc or Daniel having like the kill switch or being the bottleneck or being in control of this economic force. We could never redirect it towards war, because they have the control switch, and if they don't like cocoa, they go to somewhere else, and they can subscribe to 10 different countries, because we don't know the truth. We will never know. So it will basically mix like a matrix laying on top of our globe, and you subscribe into different societies and still mix it with traditional countries.
Okay, no, I see the vision, very very grand, most definitely. But I mean, hey, like the possibility of having a network state having a seat at the UN in 40 years isn't, I mean, so as far fetched as it seems, right? Like to the same example, would you have thought that the sovereign knights of Malta, right, would have their own state, right? So it sounds like a far out there idea, but given enough time and given enough effort, it could be possible. And last question from my end, which is what is the sort of primary driver from your guys? And I mean, it's very it's impressive that you've got a sort of like network of 10,000 users already, right? That's no sort of small feat. But why do you do this? What gets you up in the morning?
Okay, so like mainly like my idea is that why I'm doing it is that I feel and like I'm trying, like there is a lot out there of IT persons, of blockchain people, a lot of people which are really smart and way smarter than me. And all the time I'm listening to them. They try to create revolution. They try to change the world and they are changing the world. But when I see my mom, when I see my family, uh, which are struggling in real life problems, I'm just like, I just see a big disconnect, like a big gap, a big disconnection. And why I'm doing this is that I feel that my mom, my family, which are not in IT, in all this blockchain or whatever thing, they are lost and they have something that they still can't define. They don't believe anymore into their government. Everything is going far right extreme in every countries. They can't pay. They don't have enough money anymore to pay their bills, and there is like a growing concern over human future. I think in the world, and I'm doing this even like to try to reconnect and to have like my head on earth, like to stay in reality and to connect the technology with real humans, because 90% of the people, they don't understand what are all these crypto blockchain project and revolutions, that metaverse, like they are just in reality. They just want a better life and they want to be happy. And yeah, so that's a bit my why, like it's a bit confused, but yeah.
Cool. Daniel?
I think my why is I really look pragmatically at the current stage of the world, and I think that's the only option to safeguard humanity. As clear as it is, if you see the development of AI taking over, and I think everyone has this point in their life when out of a sudden everything became kind of a little bit confusing and complex. And I think this was the moment when AI had the first big breakthrough. You pair it with digital currencies being issued by central banks. What is being created here, quite frankly, is a Soviet Union on steroids, and there's not one head you can cut off. So humanity goes into a psychosis driven by technology, algorithms, and social media. And there's only one way, is to decentralize the world. Otherwise, we live in a future, you just need to read the book 1984. And we try to prevent this. It can happen. We don't need to reach everyone. We need to reach 4% of humanity. Otherwise, the future will be quite dark. And I think we should face it, because the last 2 years were a big warning shot. How centralized entities can be hijacked by technology.
And now we should get a Dark Vador song for the end.
But the answer is positivity, and this is what we will focus on. Clear.
Yeah, that's thank you for that explanation. I too am fond of Orwell and think that there's a definite possibility that his predictions will not even become reality, but many of them are already reality in today's world. But thank you so much to the CoCoHub team. Have a great day, guys, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, thank you.